Welcome to the Mike Knox-Comedy podcast. I'm your host, Mike Knox. Wanted to give a shout out to the Brain Ablaze podcast. Once again, follow Brain Ablaze podcast for all of your epilepsy concerns. There are over 65 million people in the world with epilepsy, and there is no cure. My daughter has the VNS therapy, which is basically a pacemaker for your brain. It's an implant. She's on her second battery with a new generator this time, and she is 6 years and 9 months seizure free, and that is pretty awesome. Starting off our news for today, I know it's been since September 30th since I last ranted, but quite a lot has been going on. A lot more wars going on out there. A lot of this is my thing about politics is I live in Los Angeles, and the amount of money that we waste on wars, unnecessary wars, and we could easily house every single homeless person that's in Los Angeles. Could have already bought them a house. The amount of money that we just spend on funding wars. And a new poll, excuse me, don't worry, I'm COVID-free. A new survey showed that the 1/3 of the military is overweight, and all I've got to say is you keep lowering the standards on everybody, including Oregon's like scholastic recommendations are that you don't have to have math or reading to graduate from high school now. Where were you when I was in high school, when I got my straight D's? You made me do it then, but you don't have to do it now. That's the part that pisses me off. I don't care that you have no prereqs now, but you certainly made me do it. And I came in high school when you had to have a 2.0 to play sports. So, of course, I got, locked out basically from all the sports teams that I wanted to play because I was a dum-dum. That's all. Also, what I'm pissed off about this week is that the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate has grown to 8% for the first time since the year 2000. I'm going to actually go out on a limb here and say that I remember it was 6% in 2000, probably even before that, because my sister bought a house in like 97, 98, I want to say. And, I'd like to say kudos to my sister, who I think she bought her first house at the age of 24 in Pasadena, California. And I think it was 160 that she bought it for. And she rode that wave. Good for her. But I bought my first place basically around 2008, 2009 when it crashed. I don't know if I've told you this story before, but I'm going to do it again. I called up Countrywide, which is no longer here, and I was talking to the loan agents, the loan processor lady, and I said, "Hey, I've been hearing on the news that everything's collapsing." And she said, "Oh no, don't be ridiculous! You're an idiot. I'm going to lunch, but when I get back from lunch here in Dallas, Texas, or Houston, Texas, your file is right on my desk, and we're going to get right down to it. Okay, sugar booger." And I never heard from her again because she got fired after lunch, and Countrywide collapsed, and everything else collapsed. And so that I bought my place at the worst time ever. But I rode that out of there and refinanced to 3%. I bought it at 6%. So that's why I find it heartbreaking for a lot of people, because you got 8% mortgage rates. How do you expect anybody to get a home anymore? And that's why I tell people now, just abandon those dreams. Join me on the bandwagon of abandoning dreams of owning a home now. And just focus on what the Gen Zs are doing. They just want a car. They don't care where they live. They don't want to own anything. At least the ones I talk to. Because that dream is dead, and I blame the boomers for that one. Because if you think about it, my grandparents got their home for like $2,500. My parents' first house was $25,000. The second home was $60,000. I mean, you're not going to get these prices unless you go back in time in a time machine. Why don't you build that for us, Bill Gates, a time machine? Tesla, a former Tesla director, has given Harvard one professor describes as a visionary gift of $16 million to establish a study for psychedelics. The gift for the Gracias Family Foundation will fund efforts across the faculty, basically psychedelic drugs, magic mushrooms, if you will. I'm all for your funding. It's just, again, your $16 million that you can get, high out of your gourd. Uh, First of all, number one, where's all this money coming from? Second of all, I wish people would realize like these universities have so much money, and there's foundations that have all this money, and I don't have any of it, and that's really what the problem is I'm just jealous nobody's giving me any of this money. I don't know if anybody's ever tried 23andMe, but apparently there's a warning over this swab ancestry technology because the profiles have all been leaked. All 4 million 23andMe customers have been leaked. So people could possibly hack into your DNA, which I think we all kind of, well, maybe 70% of the people that are dumb didn't know that. But I think most people knew they were going to take that chance anyways, because no matter what you put on the internet, it's going to get stolen. No matter what you do, it's going to get stolen. Everything is just bullshit and lies in our society. And the more you call people out on their bullshit and their lies, and then they just go, how dare you? How dare you share my liar? So anyways, I did 23andMe because I'm adopted, and I could not get an answer out of my parents, not my bio parents, because they don't want to talk to me. But my adopted parents did not want to talk to me either. A lot of people didn't want to talk to me. And so I did 23andMe, and I found out like it was like 50% Irish. It was like Irish, Swedish, a couple of other things. It's like, I think it was like 7% Asian also, which is pretty cool. So, I just never knew my background. I screen captioned it and I moved on. And if you guys are going to steal my DNA and make some sort of AI out of it, I don't know what to tell you. I just, where we are in 2023, I'm just, every headline is always shocked and bombshell and I just, whatever. I've given up like everybody else. Why even care? All I care about is the Nextdoor app and my Ring cameras to see if anybody's trying to break into my house at night. Those are the only things that I really care about. A dog this week was determined to be the longest living dog at the age of 31. His name was Bobby, and he lived in Portugal. I feel like everybody that's old, human and dog, lives in Portugal. The world's oldest dog ever died October 21st. That was announced on Facebook. I'm no longer on Facebook. I deleted my account. But 31, what little math here? What's that? 127. I also read this week that dog years are now not calculated times 7. So I guess that Bobby died at the age of 31, which really to me isn't that old. But we all know that is old in dog years. I don't think I knew one dog named Snoopy that was 21 years old. So 31, that's a lifetime right there. I got to tell you, Bobby. Hopefully Bobby was a good dog. I had a dog that my parents bought named Robbie. Well, his name was Mr. Roberts, but my dad took him to at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. They had dog training, obedience school, and I think Robbie was there for like a week, and then my dad says he got kicked out. But looking back, I don't think he probably got kicked out because I don't think any school is going to kick you out because you're paying for it. I just think my dad was embarrassed by the dog because the dog was like notorious for never doing anything. It was like the dog from The Simpsons, Santa's little helper, never did anything. American pharmacies are deserting us. Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens will shut down all 1,500 stores due to crime, leaving millions without access to healthcare. Now, this is my 2 cents on this. I go to CVS. I've been going to CVS for 15 years, the same CVS, which is 2 blocks from my house. Everybody in there's got to be at least 5 people in there, act like they have never seen me before. They don't know anything about my history. That where I believe lies the problem. Now, the second problem is people keep coming in like a dumpster fire with their trash bags and loading up and stealing everything, and these places do nothing about it. They don't hire security. The prices go on the backs of us. Everything's gotten smaller. Your toothpaste has gotten smaller. Your soap has gotten smaller. And then the prices accelerated. Like, this isn't pharmacy, but I went to go buy Reynolds tinfoil, and they've made it 3 times smaller and 3 times more expensive. It was like $13 for tinfoil that used to be $3. So the people that are ripping those stores off are ripping us off, the taxpayers or the consumer. Funny how that works. And the stores aren't doing anything about it, which I just again find, I guess I shouldn't be shocked. But the fact that I go in there and everything's locked, I don't even want to go in there and buy anything. I just buy it on Amazon, which Amazon now has told me I can't make any reviews anymore. I've been banned from that. I can still buy from Amazon, but I can't review anything, which is annoying because I always have a problem with Amazon purchases. So I have problems with Amazon and I have problems with CVS. But I would say twofold the reason why these places are closing. Not to mention they're like they are purgatory, especially places not the Walgreens, but the Rite Aid. The Rite Aid, I think Rite Aid used to be thrifty. Thrifty used to be great when you go in there and you could buy 5-cent ice cream, 15-cent ice cream. You get the triple ice cream. You kids know what I'm talking about. But Rite Aid just became like purgatory now, where you go in there and you immediately feel depressed when you walk in there. And everything, it's just like a feeling of death when you walk in there. So nobody wants to walk in there. And then there's like near me, kind of close to me, there's like a 24-hour whatever pharmacy. That's great. You're open 24 hours a day because for some reason I always need Sudafed at 3:00 in the morning. So you guys are great. But most of these pharmacies are just so. There's one in Ralph's where everybody's just so angry, and I think that's what needs to change. Your attitude needs to change. You don't need to say hello to me when I walk in and then ignore me for the rest of the time that I'm there. I just think you guys need some better training, especially in the pharmacy area where you're dealing with medications, you're dealing with people's livelihood, and you guys act like we're customers that are invisible. That's my rant about that one. So I don't feel sorry for any of you guys. I do feel sorry for, you're at a certain place now and it's not even about your health care or how much that medicine costs. It's the pharmacy isn't even there anymore. So that, my friend, is, that's some craziness. Also crazy, getting back to the mushrooms, an Alaskan Airlines pilot was trying to shut down his plane. He was charged with 83 counts of attempted murder. He later said that he was on mushrooms. I got to tell you, the things you take for granted when you fly. So this is Alaska Airlines, which is, to me, I've never had any problems with Alaska Airlines. Not that I travel or anything. But you put so much faith into that pilot. Nobody goes and tries to I'm sure there's somebody that researches how to fly a plane in case there's an emergency, but most people don't. Most passengers don't. So I'm sure those 83 passengers there did not know how to fly a plane. You're dependent on this guy, and he decides to, hey, let's take some mushrooms, man. Let's get funky. No, that's a bad idea. I hope this guy goes to prison for the rest of his life. I know he's not. He's going to worm out of it. He's going to cry and say, boo-hoo, I'm a parent. Yeah, I'm a parent that's taking mushrooms and flying a plane. This whole idea that pilots now are these, we used to hold them to higher standards from the 50s. Well, we're 2023. It's just a sad state of affairs. I do think pilots should make a lot of money. You're putting everybody's, put my mind at ease if these, planes didn't look like they're left over from 50 years ago. But that's just me. Also with our society, the rocketing car loans, getting back to the Gen Zs, I did want to talk about this. You don't want to own a home, but at the same time, my philosophy is you want to have no car payment, but also keep that car payment low. But Gen Zs don't care about that stuff. They're going to get a car payment that's $900 a month because they want a Tesla. I get it. I understand that. Me, I try to keep that payment if I have to have it under $300. And I think that's gone. So what you're going to have, just like you had in 2008 with collapsing of mortgages, you're going to have people that can't pay their car payments and they can't figure out why, because none of these schools are teaching you about budgeting. None of these parents are teaching you about budgeting. They're still trying to figure out how I can get you off of Instagram. So this is my guess, a couple years, maybe 10, whatever. There's just going to be, that's where the big next collapse is going to be in all of these car loans, because you're giving people, they used to never give 7 or 8 year car loans, and then some of these car loans like 20%. I just got a car at CarMax, and I go to CarMax because to me it's just a little more convenient. But I don't know if I talked about this before. So I went to CarMax. I traded in a car. They gave me I think they gave me $4,000, so I needed like $2,000 to put down. People are going in there. They're not putting down any money on their car. They're taking their car that they already owe money on, and they're putting that into the new car that they want. So now you got people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in a car. And I like to go into CarMax because I can see it online. And I can get that car delivered over to me. It's just the convenience. I'm lazy, and I'm going to pay more for my laziness. shouldn't do any of that. Don't follow my advice. But what I did notice when I'm in there is, if you have bad credit, which is what most people do, they can get you for 18 to 20% on a car loan, which to me, I remember car loans being 3%, but I guess not anymore. And then you've got these guys that are all, and I had this happen to me. The last 3 cars I think I got a warranty, but the warranty only applied to where I bought it from. So when I had bought in Pasadena, which is about 25 miles from where I live now, then I would have to drive the car to go there to get fixed. Well, if my car's broken down, then I got to go get it towed over there. It was just a big pain in the ass. So I'm like, I'm not going to get a warranty this time. Well, I guess that was my mistake, because I had every guy that looked like he was roided up, looked like he used to work in parole, coming over with his hat on backwards, his CarMax hat on backwards, his little tight shorts, and his little roided out t-shirt, telling, why didn't you get the warranty? And I'm like, because every time I get the warranty, you don't honor it. No, that's not true. And so it was me arguing with this guy for a little bit, where I'm just like, I know that you're lying. And I know that they tell you to have your, you're making all your little kickback there on your warranty. And it's just exhausting is what it is. If somebody doesn't want their warranty, leave them alone, like me. Don't keep sending people. They totally had me sitting there waiting so that another guy could come by and give me his little pitch. I held my ground. I was strong. And I felt like I was I was in the gladiator ring and I won. I was on the chariot. And so I felt pretty good about that. But it was just annoying to have these guys keep coming over to me, circling basically like sharks. That was my experience buying my last car. And then everything's 3 times more expensive now. So if you have to get anything fixed on your car, you're definitely not going to take it to the dealership, because that's a big dumpster fire too, where they don't even know what they're doing, but they're charging you a couple $100 just for the work. It could be like a $2 plastic piece that holds a bunch of wires together, but they're going to charge you $900 to put that on there. So everything's just upside down, and it just drives me nuts. I feel like an old person. I feel like I should be a father-in-law, but I'm not a father-in-law. The researchers also this week discovered that 3 to 4 cups of coffee are good for you. And I wanted to bring this up because last week they had one that said that 3 to 4 cups is bad for you. And there's a huge industry with coffee. I love coffee, but I quit drinking coffee, and I noticed, I've been drinking coffee, I want to say for 23 years, and it was basically just like my comfort, just like food. So I would get up, I was probably having 6 or 7 cups a day, because it would just be all day long, right? So I'm wired all the time. I was having a lot of insomnia. So I decided I'm going to cut back. So I cut back on coffee, and I was doing, 2 cups a day, then 1 cup a day. Then I was going to decaf, and I was cutting out the creamer also, because I was using like a hazelnut creamer, which had a bunch of sugar in it. So it was hard. It was a struggle. But what I really saw was how addicting that coffee was. And now that I'm on decaf, the coffee doesn't taste good because there's no the creamer, obviously. But I'm falling asleep. If I don't have that, without, coffee, I'm literally falling asleep. Like I'm in an improv class, and I'm, falling asleep. I can't keep awake in the improv class. So I got to go drink 1 cup of coffee on those days to like make it through the day. But my point being is there's such an industry with coffee. I mean, obviously Starbucks, and so why wouldn't they be saying how wonderful it is and it's going to cure all these things, when in reality, what I've noticed getting off of it is how much healthier I feel not having all this. And then on top of that, every time I would go to the doctor for a physical, my blood pressure would be skyrocketing, and I'd be like, well, I just had 7 cups of coffee. Oh yeah. The doctor would say, no, that's the nurses would be like, no, nothing. That has nothing to do with it at all. And so this was the very first time where I went and had my blood pressure taken without drinking any coffee. I mean, it was like just off the charts low. I shouldn't even use that term, off the charts. It was the lowest that I've ever seen it, because my heart's not pounding a million miles an hour. So if anybody, I bring that up because if anybody has their love affair with coffee like I did, but at the same time they're thinking, how do I get rid of this high blood pressure? That's what did it for me. I can't really say if it's going to help anybody else, but was a huge eye-opener for cover Rodney Dangerfield. And if you don't know who Rodney Dangerfield is, I don't want to talk to you. Anyways, Rodney Dangerfield was born Jake Roy Cohen, and I had no idea about that until just now. I always thought his name was Rodney Dangerfield. He was born in 1921. He passed away in 2004. He, of course, was an American stand-up comedian, actor, screenwriter, and producer, well known for his self-deprecating one-liners and catchphrases, "I don't get no respect," and his monologues on that theme. He began his career working as a stand-up comic at the Fantasyland in New York City. His act grew in popularity as he became a mainstay on the late-night talk show circuit. In his early life, he was born in Deer Park, New York. He was the son of Jewish parents, Dottie Teitelbaum, a vaudevillian performer, and Philip Cohen, whose stage name was Phil Roy. His mother was born in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. That's pretty interesting. Philip Cohen was rarely home. His son normally saw him only twice a year. Wow. Late in his life, Cohen begged for and received his son's forgiveness. Yeah, that would be tough, man. I don't know if I could be away from my kid like that. That's crazy. Dangerfield's mother apparently was cruel and cold to him his entire life. Throughout his childhood, she never kissed or hugged him or showed any signs of affection. In an interview with Howard Stern in 2004, he told Stern that he had been molested by a man in his neighborhood, the man who paid Rodney a nickel to kiss him for 5 minutes. Wow, that is creepy. Only a nickel. After Cohen's father abandoned the family, his mother moved him and his sister to Queens, where Dangerfield attended Richmond Hill High School. Graduated in 1939. To support himself and his family, he delivered groceries and sold newspapers and ice cream on the beach. At the age of 15, he began to write his stand-up comedy while performing at Neville, a resort in Ellensville, New York. At the age of 19, he legally changed his name to Jack Roy. I didn't know that either. He struggled financially for 9 years, at one point performing as a singing waiter until he was fired before taking a job selling aluminum siding in the mid-1950s to support his wife and family. He later equipped, little known that he gave up show business. I was the only one who knew I quit. No one knew that he gave up show business. In the early 60s, he started reviving his career as an entertainer. Still working as a salesman by day, he returned to the stage performing at hotels in the Catskills, but still finding minimal success. He fell into debt, about $20,000 by his own estimate, and couldn't get booked. He later joked, "I played one club. It was so far out, my act was revived by Field and Stream." Dangerfield came to realize that what he lacked was an image and well-defined on-stage persona that the audience could relate to. After being shunned by some comedy venues, he returned home, where he began to develop the character for Nothing Goes Right. Roy took the name Rodney Dangerfield from an episode by Jack Benny on the radio program in 1941's broadcast. The name was referenced as an actor who Jack had invited to the upcoming Christmas party, but Mary Livingstone had never heard of him. The name surfaces again in 1946 episode Jack's Christmas card list. I had no idea. In 1967, on the Ed Sullivan Show, needed a last-minute replacement, and Rodney Dangerfield became the surprise hit of the show. Dangerfield began headlining in Las Vegas and continued to make shows after that. So there it is. You could struggle your entire life, and you just got to get that one show, that one couple minutes for your stand-up. His 1980 comedy album, No Respect, won a Grammy. One of his TV specials, Rappin' Rodney, which appeared in 1983. His Rappin' Rodney single became one of the first Hot 100 rap records. I don't even remember that song. I got to find that one. Rappin' Rodney. In 1969, Dangerfield teamed up with longtime friend to build Dangerfield's Comedy Club. I had no idea he had a comedy club in New York, a venue where he could perform on a regular basis without having to constantly travel. The club remained in constant operation until 2020. Had no idea. Dangerfield was the venue for several HBO comedy specials starring such stand-ups as Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Carrey, Tim Allen, Roseanne Barr, etc. Though his acting career had begun much earlier, he has been in quite a few movies. His breakout role, I would say, would be Caddyshack. He was also in Easy Money and Back to School. I was watching Back to School today. I thought he was a great actor. He's all around a great guy, I thought. In 1990, he was involved in Where's Rodney, an unsold TV pilot. The show starred Jason Rushton as a teenager who was also named Rodney, who would summon Rodney Dangerfield whenever he needed guidance about his life. I don't remember that one. In change of pace from the comedy persona that made him famous, he played an abusive father in Natural Born Killers. Dangerfield was rejected for membership in the Motion Picture Academy in 1995 by the head after fans protested, but Dangerfield then refused to accept the membership. In 1995, he was the first celebrity to personally own a website and create content for it. He interacted with fans who visited his website via email link, often surprising people with a reply from himself. I didn't know that either. Dangerfield appeared in several movies after that. He played an important role in comedian Jim Carrey's rise to stardom in the 1980s. After watching Carrey perform at the Comedy Store, Rodney signed Carrey to open for Dangerfield's Las Vegas show. The two toured together for about 2 years. When Dangerfield celebrated his 80th birthday on The Tonight Show, Carrey made a surprise appearance to thank Dangerfield for years of support. Oh, that's awesome, man. Dangerfield was married twice. They married in 1951. He was married twice to Joyce Indig, a singer. They married in 1951, divorced, and remarried in 1963. He lived largely separated from his family. Together, the couple had 2 children, a son and a daughter. From 1993 until he passed away, he was married to Joanne Child, whom he met at the Santa Monica Beach, where she ran a flower shop. At the time, People magazine article on Dangerfield in 1980, he was sharing an apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side with housekeeper, his poodle, Kino, and his closest friend of 30 years, who called him the funniest man in the world. Dangerfield resented being confused with his onstage persona, although his wife, Joan, described him as classy, gentleman, sensitive, and intelligent. He was often treated like the loser he played on stage. Although Dangerfield was Jewish, he referred to himself as an atheist during an interview with Howard Stern. 4 months before his death, Dangerfield added during the interview that he was a logical atheist. Were gorillas doing gorillas? Does a gorilla come back? Were gorillas, does a gorilla come back? In the same interview, he lamented that he suffered greatly for being a perfectionist. My mother never hugged or kissed me again. He's always complaining about his mom. In 2001, Dangerfield suffered a heart attack while doing stand-up on The Tonight Show. While Dangerfield was performing, host Jay Leno noticed something was wrong with Dangerfield's movements and asked the producers to call the paramedics. During Dangerfield's hospital stay, the staff were reportedly upset that he smoked marijuana in his room. Well, he's 80. What do you expect? Dangerfield returned to The Tonight Show a year later, performing on his 81st birthday. In 2003, Dangerfield underwent brain surgery to improve blood flow and separation from his heart valve. The heart surgery took place at UCLA Medical. He uttered another liner when he asked how long he would be in the hospital. If all goes well, about a week. If not, about an hour and a half. He would never wake up from his anesthesia he was put under, and he would ultimately pass away from complications of his surgery October 5th, 2004, at the age of 82. He's interred at Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Great Pierce Brothers Westwood is a great cemetery, and he's got a great headstone. I would recommend anybody going there. There Goes the Neighborhood, I think There Goes His Neighborhood is on his tombstone. I always liked him. That's why I want to talk about him, and I think I should probably talk more about comedians that have passed away and are no longer with us. Like, subscribe, tell me who else you want me to see, and I appreciate everybody listening to the Mike Knox Comedy Podcast.